Hello, my name is Lydia Carroll, and I will be presenting on the Netflix original animated comedy series Big Mouth. It centers around a group of high schoolers in their early teens as they begin puberty. The sitcom often takes on controversial issues such as gender roles, sexual orientation, feminism, and sexual harassment, presenting these issues from a comedic standpoint through a teenager's eyes. What makes this series unique is the way it portrays society's gender roles and how these roles form in high school, as well as how the roles create the high school dynamic. This presentation describes and analyzes the various gender roles within a single specific episode of Big Mouth, through the basic explanation and analysis of the episode as well as the application of gender-related sociological theories. It evaluates the general role media plays in continuation and promotion of stereotypical gender roles. In Season 3, Episode 10, Disclosure the Movie, the Musical, the main character's high school is performing a musical based on the 1994 movie Disclosure. First, I will share some episode quotes displaying examples of discursive gender-related issues presented. I will refer to these throughout my presentation. Demi Moore is Michael Douglas's boss. She invites him to her office and gives him oral sex, but he decides he doesn't want to have full sex and leaves. Demi Moore is mad and says Michael Douglas has sexually harassed her. Disclosure the Musical is an exploration of the dangerous times that we men are now forced to navigate. This play dares to harass the very notion of sexual harassment and say, yeah, me too. Okay, no, this play discredits women who have the courage to speak out. It is misogynistic fantasy. Have any of you guys even read this? No matter what happens, I'll stay at my station through scandal and lies and public humiliation, 'cause standing by her husband is a woman's job. I'm a modern 90s woman. I'll take what I want in my power suit. My cleavage I'll flaunt. No man is gonna bone me without a fight. Some girls tread so softly, aiming just to serve and please, while me, I grab life by the balls, I won't live on my knees. And when things get rough and tumble, onto my back I shall not flop, 'cause an aggressive woman likes to be on top. Feminist activist Jessie goes to the principal and asks if they can shut down the musical because the play is insulting to women and makes a mockery of sexual harassment. The teacher, Mr. Lizer, implies he wants one of the students to rub his feet, and she does. He acts as if it was her idea. Now I'm going to share some examples of the non-discursive points made by the previous discursive examples. Through their high school musical, the episode is commenting on the current issues of sexual harassment popularized in the general media by movements such as #MeToo. Mr. Lizer says the musical is making fun of men who believe that their sexual harassment movements are making it more and more difficult to be a man in modern society. This disregards the point of the movement, as women face adversity when it comes to sex that men do not. When Jessie speaks up against Lizer's comment, everyone in the room ignores her, highlighting how hard it can be for a woman to speak up for themselves as they are often ignored. When Nick sings for the Michael Douglas role, I'm a family man, not a sexual harasser, the writers are once again shedding light on the male view of the feminist and sexual harassment movements. It implies that because the character is a family man, he cannot simultaneously be a sexual predator. When Jessie auditions for The Dutiful Wife, no matter what happens, I'll stay at my station, the song she sings is misogynistic, sexist, stereotypical, and makes fun of the way wives and mothers are commonly portrayed. It also implies that women are objects that men own through marriage. When Missy auditions for the role of Demi Moore, I'm a modern 90s woman, the song she sings implies that just because Moore's character's cleavage was showing, she somehow deserves sexual harassment. When Jessie receives the part of Secretary Number Girl, it makes fun of the stereotypical secretary role and how it always played by a female. When Missy, playing the Demi Moore role, sings Some Girls Tread Softly, the song is poking fun of the stereotypical degrading view of female sexuality reflected in the media and society. The view that since a woman is often on her knees or back during intercourse and is physically under the man, this is a metaphor that women are below men in general. When Jessie asks the principal to cancel the musical, the principal doesn't care and lets rehearsal continue, representing how these issues are often neglected by high school administrators and leaders of society in general. Now here are 5 theories mentioned in my essay and how they connect to the episode. First, social learning theory, which theorizes that human mimics what they see. Humans learn behavior through observation of their environment. This means that the gender representations in this episode are learned, that each character acts the way they do because of the environment around them. This also means that children and teenagers viewing gender representations in the media might copy these characters' behavior. Social learning theory focuses on enactive learning, where one learns by carrying out the actions and experiences the consequences of these actions. The sociological theory of symbolic interactionism theorizes that one's gender, identity, and sense of self stems from their social interactions. Symbolic interactionism can be seen in a variety of media and is truly how people act. When it comes to Big Mouth, it is easy to spot symbolic interactionism. One example is when some of the children were requesting the musical to be discontinued due to its sexism. Jessie is told by the principal she is annoying. After she is told this, the other characters become quiet for a minute, for they do not want to be called annoying as well. Third is psychodynamic theory of gender development. Freud theorized one's gender identity develops due to strong but unconscious sexual urges experienced during childhood. This is referred to as the phallic stage, where one will develop these urges towards the opposite sex guardian and intense jealousy towards the same-sex guardian. This will result in the child identifying with the same-sex guardian and develop their gender identity by copying their behavior. Oedipus complex. For example, Big Mouth character Jessie is not afraid to be outspoken and an activist because her mother is also outspoken and possibly an activist as well. This means that one's gender identity is never really their own, and gender roles are not real in a sense. Looking through the Freudian concept lens, one could infer that this silence in the face of gender discrimination has gone on for centuries. If a child copies their parent who copied their parent, and so on, then this would mean that many people have not stood up against gender discrimination for generations, which is true. Standpoint states that society is made up of different groups within differing amounts of power, privilege, influence, and it argues that being a member of said groups, whether it's race, ethnicity, socioeconomic class, gender, sexual orientation, determines the way someone acts, feels, knows, and experiences. When it comes to gender roles, this theory highlights how all the different factors come into play when developing their identity. In the musical, a good example of this theory is the following. Drama teacher Mr. Leiser says, "Disclosure the musical is an exploration of the dangerous times that we men are now forced to navigate." One can assume because Leiser said we men that he is a member of the male gender group. Standpoint theory would argue that because Leiser is part of this group, this influences all of his actions. The last theory, gender performativity, which theorizes that gender, as in masculinity and femininity, were simply performative acts instead of scientifically based ideas like sex, male and female. Viewing gender as a socially constructed roles, behavior, activities, and attributes that given societies consider appropriate for men and women. Meaning that the media plays an even bigger role in the formation of societal gender roles, as gender roles are constructed by society. Therefore, when children view different forms and outlets of media and construct their interpretation of how these sexes are supposed to act, thus conforming and beginning their gender performance. The media plays an increasingly imperative role in the creation of gender roles in society by portraying different genders. This portrayal either helps to promote or break down these binding societal gender roles. In Big Mouth, the directors utilize these stereotypical gender roles to create a comedic satirical piece of media that depicts the irony and immaturity within said roles. Pieces like Big Mouth can play their part in simultaneously breaking down and building up these gender roles by highlighting the silliness and such stereotypical, ill-fitting, and unrealistic gender roles, depicting how harmful they can be to young, impressionable adults. Yet on the other hand, doing it in such a lighthearted, comedic way that increases the number of the common degrading adolescent jokes in the episode. I have described and analyzed the portrayal of a variety of gender roles within a single episode of Big Mouth through a basic explanation and analysis of the episode, as well as the application of 5 specific gender-related theories, highlighting the general role that media plays in the continuation and promotion of stereotypical gender roles in society. People's gender identities form due to many differing factors, sometimes societal, sometimes personal. As discussed in Disclosure, the movie, the musical, the media plays an enormous role in gender identity, developing and the continuity of gender roles within society. Thank you.